Would a lot of people benefit from TRT? Absolutely. I think having optimal testosterone levels gives men a better subjective experience of life. It gives you a better objective experience of life. And I think that stigmatizing men who want to use it, as long as they understand it's invasive, it's creating dependency, it's so important that men go through a period of their life where they have this surge of androgens. I think if we're going to stigmatize hormone replacement therapy, we also have to stigmatize psychiatric medications. So I think the normalization of hormone replacement therapy is important. And the reason why it's important is because a lot of people every day are going into their doctor's office and they know that they don't feel as well as they should. And I think a lot of people are getting put on the wrong treatments for this. I think a lot of people are getting put on SSRIs. In the States, you guys quite liberally use antipsychotics for sleep, which is crazy. Things like inattentive ADHD, all of these diagnoses for adults, I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of the time we're dealing with endocrine disruption and we're dealing with the neurological and behavioral and psychological effects that come from deficient hormones. When humans have deficient hormones, man or woman at any age, you're not going to be able to thrive, you're not going to be able to do well, you're not going to be able to have a good experience being alive. And the problem that we're dealing with in this day and age is that guys and women actually are coming up in their younger years with geriatric levels of hormones. And sometimes this is self-inflicted. Sometimes people have destroyed hormone systems because poor diet and lifestyle, drugs, alcohol, drug food, obesity, not doing enough exercise, these things are huge factors. But a lot of people are coming up with damaged endocrine systems from the hormone disruption that we've been bombarded with since birth. And we're dealing with the outcomes of this. And I think that when guys are going into the doctor's office with the hormone levels of an unhealthy 18, 90-year-old, and they're getting told, hey, the levels are within the range, and that means that the symptoms are just psychological, here's the prescription, to soul off, see you later. I think this is doing far more harm than good. So the argument of, does someone need TRT or not? I would argue no one needs it. If you have zero testosterone, you'll survive, so no one technically needs it. But would a lot of people benefit from TRT? Absolutely. I think having optimal testosterone levels gives men a better subjective experience of life. It gives you a better objective experience of life. And I think that stigmatizing men who want to use it, as long as they understand that it's invasive, it's creating dependency, there's no such thing as a free lunch. It is a treatment that does have drawbacks. But I think if a man wants to do that to optimize his life, to optimize his outcomes, to optimize the way he's going to be in the next 10, 20 years, to be a better father, to have a better career, to be a better man in whatever fields he wants to, I think anyone who's stigmatizing that needs to mind their own business. I think that that's something that if men want to do it, it's fantastic, it's bioidentical, it's health promoting. And I think that it's a fantastic choice for men to make as long as they're informed, if that's something they want to do. So one of the advantages of working with clients all over the world is you see labs from all over the world. And Eastern Europe doesn't update the reference ranges as often as Western countries. So in the same day, if I'm talking World Cup leader for free testosterone, which in Australia, the other day I saw the reference range was 150 to 550, which is the lowest I've ever seen. I saw in Eastern Europe the same day, 300 to 1300. It's the same units. So the reference range for testosterone and free testosterone, it's a simple calculation of the mean and standard deviation of the last group of people that booked it. So typically, it's sick older men with prostate issues who are having their general practitioner order them to go and get a testosterone check. Young, healthy men, well, maybe these days it's probably more so, but it's still a minority. Young, healthy men are not the average guys getting a testosterone panel check. So we're looking at a reference range. There are some lab values where if you're above the reference range, you probably got a problem. Some of them are useful for that. Billy Rupert, which is liver market, gamma GT. If these things are elevated, you probably go issue. But the testosterone reference range is simply if you just go out to the street, you go to the average McDonald's at the average Target, and you look out at 100 guys in that crowd, they're going, this is the average of those 100 guys. That's not a healthy testosterone level. So I find that most people do best, if we're just going to talk about putting all the units together, and we're going to reference the range just for understandability. Guys tend to do the best in the top quartile of the range, all the way up to double the top of the reference range, maybe even a bit beyond if these levels keep drilling down. But what's important to note, and what Dilla was getting at, is age is really important. So if you have a younger guy come in, it's 21, 22, he's doing everything right, and he's got a free testosterone that's in the middle of the range and it's okay, that might be an okay level for a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old. But that's not going to be the level that a young man needs to thrive, form the proper androgenic internal and psychological pathways for them to be able to develop into a hand problem. It's so important that men go through a period of their life where they have this surge of androgens. It makes them want to take a risk, makes them want to leave their love in the world, it makes them want to be confident and develop all these really important core masculine traits. And if you don't have that, you don't have a lot to show for yourself when you get to 30 and 40 and 50 because you haven't taken the risks, you haven't gone through the rite of passage, you haven't got to the point where you have this competence that you're expected to have in this age and this stage in your life. So I think if we're going to look at being like, what number should a man go on TRT at? I think the numbers that Dylan was talking about are pretty good. If we're going to just draw a line in the sand, like I use Stigma per liter free testosterone as my typical unit, and I find that if someone's in the low 400s or the low 400 and they're having symptoms, then that could be related to testosterone. But what I find is a good rule of thumb is there's a couple of things. One is that if they're having symptoms at a higher level, they're probably going to need to take their TRT levels a bit higher than the average guy because of their receptivity to androgens. If someone's symptomatic with a free testosterone of 400, they're probably not going to feel fantastic with a 600. They're probably going to need a bit more. So looking at where they start is important to be like, okay, if you're symptomatic here, then you might need to go a bit higher. So the first thing you want to do if you identify with testosterone is to know that fixes. Because if you don't fix the thing that's causing it to be low, and you take a bunch of testosterone and put it in, you're now not supporting the body you're working against. So if your body is naturally shutting down your levels, you need to remove whatever's causing that issue before you come in to the in. Otherwise, it's like your body's pumping the brakes, you're pumping the accelerator. And that's not going to be a smooth ride forward. So I do support the first look and go, okay, where are the levels? How they accounted it? And then secondly, is there something in here that can be stopped or started to potentially fix or support this issue so that we're now working with the audience, with the hormones, not trying to get the hormones to push the audience.
What is testosterone optimization therapy? This is optimizing testosterone levels rather than simply just replacing. The provider will need to intrinsically understand how testosterone works and how the human body works. So when you follow this process of optimizing testosterone gradually, it allows the patient to acclimatize